I guess we'll start this off with why are people living in this delusional world that they think that men can be women or become women? Like, what is with this like fanciful like ideology? What is this whole thing is going crazy. Like, there's this man that's calling himself a woman that's going to be competing in the Olympics in the women's weightlifting category. The whole thing is like messed up through and through. So we'll get into it. I pulled up several articles, so each one has a little bit different, but I mean, there's a lot going on with this. A lot of this broke maybe about a little over a week ago. I'm just now getting to it. But this is insane. I don't know why they're like. This is the whole thing too with this whole like why people need to start speaking up against this whole like woke mob crap. Like, there's like women that are going to lose their spot to even get in the Olympics. They've been training for who knows how many years because some dude wants to call himself a woman, or just like lose out altogether on possibly winning a medal because this guy transitioned to a woman. This whole transgender thing is getting ridiculous, especially when it comes to women's sports. It's like all these dudes are like, they're like subpar to average in like their men's division, so they like transition. Because it's not like, this is the first Olympic thing, I believe, but there's been other things like up in, I can't remember what state it was. Maybe it was like Maine or New England or something, where these like two black guys were calling themselves black girls and like decimating all these other women at like state competitions and stuff, which had this one girl, she'd been training for who knows how long, I guess her whole like middle school and high school career, and because of these guys winning the women's state competitions, she lost out on like scholarships and stuff. The thing, like, men that call themselves trans women should not be competing against women, and women that are transitioning to men shouldn't compete against women or men because they're taking testosterone for the transition. I mean, whether they want to like either like, hey, if you're transgender, you just can't, unless it's like a unified sport or it's like a co-ed sport. I mean, there's a reason why there are biological, undeniable scientific differences between men and women. Men are stronger, men are faster. They're physiologically built different with the muscle tissue and even how the angle of their hips. Because women's hips are for birthing, so the angle is it's not as narrow as men, so that inhibits them for like speed and running and all that. But yeah, we'll get into this. And there's no telling what YouTube, or even like, cause Twitter, if you dead name somebody, if you don't use their proper pronouns, we're gonna block you, cancel you, and all this stuff. And like, I'm getting sick of all this crap, and people need to start speaking up against this crap too. But we'll get into this. Record-setting biological male to compete in women's weightlifting at Olympics. On Monday, New Zealand selected a biological man who identifies as a female to compete in women's weightlifting in this year's Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. I believe they were supposed to happen last year, but because of the Rona, they got pushed to this year. Laurel Hubbard, also known as Gavin Hubbard, I believe. Laurel Hubbard will be the first transgender athlete to compete in the games, where he will compete in the women's super heavy 87 kilogram category. Hubbard went through male puberty and has lived the majority of his life as a man. The 43-year-old transitioned 8 years ago in 2013. It's still a dude. Still a guy. Before transitioning, Hubbard was a record-setting men's weightlifter named Gavin. Competing as Gavin Hubbard, his birth name, Hubbard set national records in junior competition and had a best combined snatch and clean and jerk total of 300 kilograms, which is 661 pounds. Why the Olympics are allowing this, I don't know, but I guess the whole governments and corporations are like all on this like woke bandwagon and stuff. They're like all for like all these like leftist ideologies like BLM and identitarianism. Like it's cool to be racist towards white people because they're the oppressor and all this other crap. It's after work. I'm late, so my voice is a little. The IOC requires the athletes who transition from male to female must declare their gender identity and cannot change the status for the next 4 years. Save Women's Sports Australia Asia expressed disappointment with Hubbard's selection. The founder, Catherine Deves, telling Reuters TV that males do have a performance advantage that is based on their biological sex. They outperform us on every single metric: speed, stamina, strength, Dev said. Picking testosterone is a red herring. She added, we are forgetting about the anatomy, the fast, rich muscle, the bigger organs. Transgender women who are biological men retain their athletic advantage over women even after 1 year of hormone therapy, according to a study conducted in late 2020 by the British Journal of Sports Medicine. Which is this whole thing too, like you like call yourself a woman, but you're still like you can still be a woman that has like dick and balls. So I don't know how that works out. At that point, you're just a cross dresser, right? So I don't know what's going on with that. When I was told to drop the category because Laurel was obviously going to be their #1 super, it was heartbreaking, like super soul destroying. Former Olympian Tracy Lembricks told TVNZ, anyone that has trained weightlifting at a high level knows this to be true in their bones. This particular situation is unfair to the sport and to the athletes. Belgian weightlifter Anna Bellingham told Inside the Games. Yeah, because like I haven't done Olympic weightlifting, but I've done like powerlifting and powerlifting meets in the past. And I mean, the strongest women are like slightly above average, according to guys. I mean, the guys like blow them out of the water. What do you get this one in? We'll get into this one. Same thing. Laura Hubbard, a biological male identifies as a trans woman, is qualified for a spot on New Zealand's women's weightlifting. Hubbard, who is 43, will be the oldest Olympian to compete. I am grateful and humbled by the kindness and support that has been given to me by so many New Zealanders, Hubbard said in a statement. This will be the first time the world will see a biological male competing against biological women in the Olympic Games. This whole, like, if you read 1984, this whole, like, double speak stuff is like, did you just hear what you just said? It's crazy. It was rumored that Hubbard would automatically qualify for the games this year in May. An International Weightlifting Federation insider confirmed to The Guardian that he would automatically qualify because of amended rules approved by the IOC. The insider told The Guardian that while teams do not have to be named until 5 July under the new qualification rules, which had come into effect after several competitions were lost because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Hubbard was sure of a place in Tokyo if fit. Hubbard took home gold at the 2019 Pacific Games in the women's weightlifting category, besting 2 young Samoan women. Hubbard, 41, held the gold, standing atop the highest podium, while flanked by Samoa's Commonwealth Games gold medalists, Fagaya Stowers and Ayuna Sapaya. I'm not sure how you say that. Winner of the silver and bronze. Hubbard lifted 268 kilograms, which is 7 kilograms and 13 kilograms more than her closest competitors. For comparison, the men's Gold Coast competition was won with a lift of 330 kilograms. Hubbard competed prior to the transition, but was not nearly as successful as when competing in the women's category. I don't understand people's... Because this whole... I guess the whole thing, too, like with gender dysphoria, like it's a medical condition. there's also the fact that like suicide rate in that community is extremely high. And then like people are like, oh, they're not be able to express themselves, so that's why they're like suicidal. But even when they have like the surgery, the gender reassignment surgery, they still have like a 40%, whether it's post or pre-op, it seems to have no effect. Whether like it's still 40% compared to like Jewish people in concentration camps at 6% there. Like horrible stuff, 6%. Transgenders, 40%. Biological males who identify as transgender have received wide acceptance from governments and corporations and will now be seen competing against young women on the international stage. Linda Bell, author of Unsporting How Trans Activism and Science Denial Are Destroying Sports, wrote about Hubbard's inclusion in women's. I have no say in any of this, but I think this is complete lunacy. Blade said that the acceptance of biological males as females is pervasive across sectors and industries, so it's not surprising that we will now see men usurping women's places in international competition. Was it 2017, 18? Bruce Jenner was Woman of the Year. I don't know. It's crazy. When the top two Samoan female athletes lost out on the top prize in 2019 because of Hubbard, a biological male nearly 20 years older than both the young women, took home the gold. Samoan Prime Minister Talape Dr. Salah, appealed to the Pacific Games Council. Talape not only had a problem with Hubbard competing in women's athletics, forcing losses for Stewart and Sapaya, he took issue with the IOC's continued rule changes to benefit wealthier nations. This is getting a little sidetracked, but I made a public announcement on national TV, said I question the legitimacy of allowing transgender to lift with women. It's not easy for the female athletes to train all year long to compete, and yet we allow these stupid things to happen. The reality is that the gold medal belongs to Samoa. Well, at least he can. Well, that's good for him. Sapaya will be lifting for Samoa at the Tokyo Olympic Games. She will likely be competing against Hubbard, over qualifying for Samoa's Olympic team. Sapaya said, first of all, I would like to thank everyone that supported my journey, and now I have successfully reached another level of my talents. Sapaya is ranked 8th worldwide and will be competing in the super weight category. Hubbard is ranked 16th, but also missed several competitions due to COVID. The IOC changed rules about sex-segregated events in 2015 to allow male-bodied individuals to compete in women's events if they meet certain criteria. Hubbard has reduced testosterone levels to the point where the IOC allows biological male athlete to compete against women. Then he gets into it here. The IOC requires that male-bodied transgender individuals. See how that's a mouthful? Like, it's a male-bodied transgender trans woman. It's a guy. It's a dude. He has, I guess, long hair. I have long hair, but I don't go around calling myself a woman. This whole thing irks me. Because, like, the whole left wants to be like, no, men and women they're exactly the same. But they also, like, a man can be a woman can be a man. And just, they have some that, like, depending on how they feel that day, their gender can change. And, like, gender's just a social construct. It has nothing to do with sex. The IOC requires that male-bodied transgender individuals who want to compete in women's events have lowered their testosterone levels to 10 nanometers, nanoliters, I guess, for a period of 12 months. For contrast, the average amount of testosterone in women's blood is far below the 10 nanometers per liter. It's between 0.3 and 2.4. I'm guessing that's nanometers per liter. For men, the normal healthy range for men is 9.2 to 31.8. We'll call it nanoliters. The IOC does not require that competing athletes have gender reassignment surgery before competing in events for the opposite biological sex. So this guy can go in and do this. Then after the fact, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm transitioning back to a guy now." But I guess there's like a 4-year period before where they have to keep to it. Female athletes sidelined as biological male advances to Olympics to compete in weightlifting. This is basically the same thing, goes over the same stuff. See if there's anything else here that I think is more the same. It's going to like, meanwhile, a study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine claimed biological men transitioning to women still maintain an advantage a year after beginning hormone therapy. At 1 year, the trans woman on average still has an advantage over the cis woman. The study's lead author, Dr. Timothy Roberts, said, "For the Olympic level, the elite level, I'd probably say 2 years is more realistic." And this goes into the Anna Van Balenhen talking about it. Where is Belgian weightlifter Anna Van Balenhen calls the situation of having a biological male who identifies as transgender compete in the women's weightlifting event a bad joke. Van Balenhen would be a direct competitor to Hubbard as she competes in the same 87 kilogram division. First off, I would like to stress that I fully support the transgender community and that what I am about to say doesn't come from a place of rejection of this athlete's identity. Everybody has to like walk on eggshells and like dance around and like sugarcoat all this stuff because they don't want to offend the transgender community. You don't want to offend the LGBTQIAAZZYZZI21. Oh no. I'm like, because it is getting a little off subject, but they're talking about like the slippery slope stuff. Like, oh, like a gay couple gets married. What's so, like a couple of years later, we got like dudes competing in like women's weightlifting competitions. We have like people calling themselves MAPS, which is just their way of saying pedo, and like age is just a number. And we got all this other like trying to like, oh, your little girl is just a kinky thing. Like that's a slippery slope. Is like it's getting open to like all this like immorality and like debauchery and stuff. Like I'm not even like, I wouldn't even call myself like super socially conservative or like religious or anything, but like the more the left is like going insane, I'm like, oh, maybe I ought to become even more conservative and even more nationalistic and maybe start going to church or something, like, because like the left has gone so bad. They've gone so insane with this like transgender stuff and like wanting to screw kids and stuff. Like, it's not all gay people. It's enough. It seems like it's enough. Then you got BLM and all that crap. They have like their communists, like they're like, we're trained Marxists and we want to like dismantle the American nuclear family, which was like up on the website. And I'm surprised they kept that website up that long. But it's like this is part of the reason why I started making these things too, to like kind of speak out against this like craziness and all this. It just goes into all this. So why is it still a question whether 2 decades from puberty to the age of 35 with the hormonal system of a man also would give an advantage competing against women? I understand that for sports authorities, nothing is as simple as following your common sense, and that there are a lot of impracticalities when studying such a rare phenomenon. But for athletes, the whole thing feels like a bad joke. If they're going to do this, I don't know. Maybe they need to open up their own Like you have the males, you have the females, and you have like the transgender, if everybody wants to be inclusive. But you cannot, I don't know how many times you cannot have dudes, males, XYs, dick and balls, weightlifting in the same category as women. You cannot have, what's his name? They keep calling him. You cannot have Gavin going against women here. Where's a good one? There was one that was a... You cannot have Gavin here, the 43-year-old guy, going against women. It's just like the whole thing... There's a better one. The whole thing is insane. I don't know what... Going back to the very... I don't know what kind of... This is pretty much all... I don't know what kind of like delusional society that we are in that this is happening. They're talking about when like societies fall, that like all like people get like really into like sexual identities and genders and all this stuff, and it goes into like, what was it, like the four turnings or the fourth turning, where it's like 20-year periods, like was it hard times create hard men create good times create weak men create hard times. Like we're in the hard times period. Like the last major event was like 80 years ago with World War II, and it seems to happen like there's like World War II. 80 years before that was the Civil War, and I think 80 years before that was the American Revolution. So yeah, this whole thing is like, people, I don't know if you should ban transgenders like all the way out, or make them have their own category, but you cannot have guys competing with women. I don't care if the dude has long hair. So does a lot of people, a lot of dudes in like rock bands and stuff. Doesn't make them a woman. But that's kind of my little spiel on this. I probably went a little bit longer. I was trying to get it. There's like a lot of different stuff here. I was trying to like condense into something, but this whole thing is whatever. If you happen to be watching me on YouTube and for some reason my channel's gone, there's a good chance they may have got mad and like struck this out or deleted the channel. So I'm also posting, I got it on YouTube, got it on Facebook, putting it on Minds. I'm also remembering to try to put it on BitChute. I think I may be able to start putting it on Gab as well. I got to look into it. I don't know if you can just post videos, because I tried posting a video and it wasn't working. I don't, because they have like Gab has like a Gab TV thing. If anything, my voice is. If anything, I have my subscribe star here, and I'll probably put the links to whatever it is there. Also, I'm looking into Minds. Has a thing where you can pay for the Minds Pro, and you can kind of get your own. I'm gonna look into that and see if I want to purchase that, and kind of have that as maybe like a standalone base for all this stuff. If like other places try to censor it, and we can go to, I think with them I can like make my own. I have to look into it, but it's like almost making my own website through Minds, and I can post all that stuff there. And I'm pretty sure Minds is like pretty good about not censoring stuff like YouTube or Twitter or Facebook does. But that's all that. So if you're on YouTube, you can like and subscribe. Facebook, you can like and follow. Like I said, Minds, like and I think subscribe there. BitChute, I have BitChute. Like and subscribe or follow or whatever it is. But I got subscribe star. Then I got some. I got to relaunch my Teespring. If you want to get some, I'll probably have some spicy shirts on there. How long it'll stay up before Teespring gets mad and takes it down, I don't know. We'll see. But that's it for tonight. I gotta eat and go to bed. So that's fun. Dudes in women's sports. I don't know. It's insane. It's the whole thing too. I want to do another video like U.S. embassies were like flying BLM flags, like that. That stuff needs to be like shot down like Sniper King on the world government. If you know what that is, you know what that is. But all right, I'm out of here. I'm done rambling. It was a long one. All right.